In this video, we're taking a look at God of War on PC, and it was released in 2022 of January. It was previously released on PlayStation back in 2018, and I can't believe it's been 6 years already. Time really flies. I have completed God of War on PlayStation and also on PC, and this is really good. Let's take a deep dive in how God of War got started. Before the development of a God of War reboot, fans and the community gave feedback to God of War needs a change or to kill off Kratos or start a completely new game. Fans wanted something different and the team had to work around something to create something original or make a game that would still feel like God of War.
I was very excited, partly because I had been on God of War 1, 2, and 3, so I was ready for something new. And I was very excited that it was going to be futuristic, they're going to have guns, we're going to do something completely different.
The God of War reboot obviously was a sequel to God of War 3. The team didn't want to really continue this story, but in a different way. At the time, I played very little of the original God of War titles before God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok in 2022. The God of War team had a lot up their sleeve. The team was always throwing up ideas, figuring out what to do with God of War, what direction to take it. Building a character from the ground up and making a numerous games of that character you built, you get kind of bored. You want to start something new. There's no disrespect against Kratos. It was the idea of starting something fresh, and they did it with God of War. I think it was one hell of a reboot. Santa Monica Studios had a rough start to developing God of War. They had massive plans and what direction they were going to, but it took some time to create ideas of what the gameplay was going to, what story with the direction was going to go for. But not everything is going to go completely your way.
Gaming here with IGN News. Layoffs unfortunately hit Sony Santa Monica studio today. The Sony-owned exclusive developer, founded in 1999, is best known for its God of War games. The extent of the damage remains unclear, though there are indications that one of the projects the studio was working on has been cancelled alongside this round of layoffs. Sony has provided the following statement to IGN. SCEA can confirm that we have completed a reduction in workforce at Santa Monica studio.
This small team had a new IP up their sleeve. The artwork was well done, but it didn't seem like it was a good start. But start with something new, but we have created that idea already. This didn't stop Santa Monica Studios creating a reboot for God of War, just ideas being thrown and thinking of new ways to approach a game that's been created, but a different story to reboot God of War in a breathtaking way.
You know, honestly, for me, that we had to throw it all out and we had to find a new hook for this game, something that could anchor everything that we were doing, but something that could also show that there's some change in all of it. And I'm not as creative as I would love to believe, so I always just pull things directly from my life. So I thought it was a totally clever idea to have Kratos be a dad and try to actually be a dad rather than use it as like a cutaway cinematic to describe whatever past he had.
That kind of sparked how the game was, the story, the direction the game was going. And it's very incredible to see how this game was well put together. And everybody goes through struggles of game development, and it might look easy.
Initially, it wasn't even gonna be his kid. Like, I think the first pitch I gave was that we wouldn't even know what was happening. So it was like Kratos walking through the desert, because we were, in my mind, still doing Egypt initially. Wind, sand blowing all over the place as he's kind of crawling through. And then kind of stands up and crests over a dune and checks out this really fantastic, like this ancient city. And then he kind of turns around and then says, "All right, follow me." And then we kind of reveal that there's a kid there.
We have a long journey ahead.
I think it was very little. It just at least got the spark. And then that was like, oh, well, you know, we should do this. We should try this. We should do this.
Playing a video game overall doesn't really show how the game is actually made. It looks very easy, but when you're playing the game, it looks, very good, obviously, and it feels really good. But look at it from an outside perspective, it looks very easy. It's like, oh yeah, I can do this. And more goes into it in the animation of the character and the acting, the environment, what the story is set in, what's the weather going to be like, and what story direction it's going to go, and how the story will be played, what's going to happen next. And you're always going to run into issues, and that's just part of the journey.
The hunt for Kratos was very difficult. We were probably a month away from giving up. We were like that close where everybody started having this pull me aside conversation. And you start thinking about the reality of this. Like, maybe this is not going to happen. Maybe you're not going to find the perfect person.
I think for them trying to find the right characters to really put the story in the right direction in the gameplay, I think Kratos and he did a very good job.
Lose control. And the rage takes you. That is me in your blood, eating away at any goodness your mother may have passed on to you.
It was literally like the test you do for a TV series or movie.
Run. Run far away from me.
But you have changed. You're not a monster.
That is exactly what I am.
Not to me.
And it just, I couldn't wrap my head around how this would be in a video game.
And then the most nervous place, E3. This God of War reveal still gives me chills to this day. I remember watching this live. Everyone in the audience trying to figure out what this game actually is. And people watching this kid, and suddenly we're seeing this. Kratos appears out of the dark and the crowd goes absolutely wild. Seeing the audience react to this God of War reveal was absolutely legendary. Kratos approaching the first boss of the game, and this was only one piece from the full game. And beyond this, this game was a true masterpiece to all of us. God of War opens up Kratos chopping down a tree. Santa Monica Studios does a fantastic job of the main menu transitions to the gameplay, which is absolutely incredible. God of War doesn't tell you how Kratos got to the specific location in the game, but it does a very good job of telling you the story, how the story will progress, and the relationship between Kratos and Atreus. As the cutscene progresses, Kratos using his Leviathan axe to cut down the tree, and this happens.
I found some.
Get in the boat, boy.
Kratos uses his strength to pick up the tree he cut down and carries it to the boat. The Kratos and Atreus are currently traveling on water on a boat, and I love the environment around God of War, letting the atmosphere take over while you travel through the river downstream. I like how they let the characters speak through dialogue while playing. It doesn't make this awkward silence of it just being completely silent, but they actually let Kratos and Atreus build up their relationship, being Kratos being his son.
Father,
What?
did something change? The forest feels different.
Everything is different, boy. Try not to dwell on it.
Yes, sir.
As it progresses, Atreus, the God of War story, slowly approaches Atreus' mother. That was the point of Kratos cutting down that tree, and as Kratos gives Atreus this knife.
I'm sorry.
Squeeze. This knife was hers. Now it is yours. She taught you to hunt.
What she knew.
Show me.
Now?
Now.
What are we hunting?
You are hunting deer.
Which way?
In the direction of deer.
Okay, this way.
The game basically tells you how to move your character. There will be loot while exploring and loot chests for upgrades. And Kratos finds these footprints and Atreus.
Mountain goat?
Your mother taught you well.
Yeah.
God of War does a good job of gameplay transitions to cutscenes, and it creates no downtime. I think it's very genius.
More tracks?
Yeah. But they're too round. Could be a wild boar.
Good.
Oh! Now what?
This way, boy.
Hup! Oh. Wait, deer tracks. They're fresh. This way.
As we continue to follow the footprints and we come across a deer, Atreus gets too aggressive.
Found it!
Slow down, boy.
Sorry.
You are hunting deer, not chasing it.
Yes, father.
It's also very important to grab chests that are nearby and look at small areas you wouldn't explore without looking. Could contain loot for future upgrades. Using your Leviathan axe to get past certain areas of the game. And Atreus approaches the same deer but gets a little more aggressive once again.
There it is!
Hold! What are you doing? Now its guard is up. Only fire. Only fire when I tell you to fire.
I'm sorry.
Do not be sorry. Be better. Find it. Find it.
And using Kratos' Leviathan axe and using it in mid-combat is actually pretty badass.
Stay back!
Oh yeah, I forgot about the shield. You come across your first chest that's being locked behind these three symbols using your Leviathan axe. To take them down as another element to the gameplay, it's very, very cool. When you open these chests, you get some kind of apple, which is one of three. It needs to increase your maximum health. And as you progress through the main game, you will have the option to upgrade your armor and makes Kratos even stronger than he already is. The combat of God of War is absolutely outstanding because how the gameplay approaches you to the gameplay and story. This will be times you have to use your Leviathan axe to navigate through puzzles, which is as another level of difficulty, and thinking other than just walking through that path, but approach it differently to add elements to the game to make it more complex. As you progress through God of War, there will be loot chests to loot through your journey to make simple upgrades to make the gameplay experience more fun and engaging. Seeing Kratos being a father of teaching Atreus how to aim and kill a deer, it builds a relationship and a trust between these two. As a father in real life, you probably know how this is. I love how Kratos wants Atreus to succeed in this story and really pushes him to what he can do and what he cannot do. The next cutscene really shows how confident Kratos is teaching his son to be brave.
Wait for my mark. Relax. Do not think of it as an animal. It is simply a target. Clear your mind. Steady your aim and breathe in. Exhale and...
I got it.
Good. Your knife. No. Finish what you started.
I can't. I...
And then we approach the most epic boss in an intro of a video game that I ever played, a God of War, which is called the Troll. Throughout your gameplay experience in God of War, you can also be able to control Atreus, where he shoots in his arrows, and there's also a health bar all around the boss. And the bosses in God of War will have a rhythm of attacks that you need to dodge and basically throw your Leviathan axe toward the enemy, and it will do amounts of damage. And then we come across this epic cutscene into gameplay. Atreus starts to kind of losing control of himself, seeing Kratos calming him down.
You're nothing to me!
Boy, look at me! Look at me, boy! Boy, look at me!
We did it.
You are not ready.
What? Are you serious? I found the deer. I proved myself. How am I not ready?
We are going home.
I haven't been sick in a long time. I can do this.
You are not ready.
As God of War progresses, we come across this frozen door, and Atreus says,
Still can't get the doors open, huh?
Quiet.
throughout your playthrough, you will unlock the ability to open the frozen doors, which are secret chambers which contain a secret loot. So back to the combat of God of War, you can really feel the Leviathan axe with the PlayStation controller, as the finishers are pretty badass. It gets really emotional of Kratos holding the ashes of his wife and the mother of Atreus. Kratos always finding ways to teach Atreus to control his temper and anger. And then someone knocks at the door. Baldur, intentionally known as the Stranger, is the main antagonist of the 2018 video game of God of War and the overarching antagonists of its 2002 sequel of God of War Ragnarok. He is the Norse of God of Light, the son of Odin and Freya, and the half-brother of Thor, Heimdall and Tyr. These two guys basically go face to face and start beating the crap out of each other, just back and forth. It's almost like watching a WWE match against these guys, but it gets to a point where these guys are like pushing each other between both sides of this concrete of what platform they're ever on, and they start splitting up the ground like it's a goddamn earthquake, and the force of these gods are just completely insane how they approach this boss fight, and it's just freaking awesome. As Kratos gets up and he's completely covered in blood from head to toe, it seems like these gods are actually immune to being wounded at all. As he gets up with his Leviathan axe, holding it, and he's just walking slowly toward his house, he's basically, you can see his whole body, like all the blood is just disintegrating, like nothing happened, and he's completely fine. Kratos slowly heads back to where his house is, and it picks up where Atreus led him to hide because of that big whole fight between him and Kratos, and that was actually insane. And as you progress through the story, you take Kratos outside. Atreus is like, what the hell happened outside? And it's just complete silence. And Act 1 is pretty much completed as we go into the part 2 of the game, and Atreus starts to ask questions of what the hell just happened.
I do not know.
What did he want with us? We're nobodies. Did you kill him?
I did what had to be done.
It's crazy how you progress through the story. If you get to like a cave or something, the characters actually have the effect of you actually being in a cave. You can actually hear the echo of someone actually talking, if someone was talking inside the cave. And that's what kind of gameplay mechanic I'm talking about inside of God of War. It's so realistic and it's so amazing how they just add that kind of element to really feel like you're actually in a cave and actually hear the echo of Kratos' voice or Atreus when they're talking. I think one of the hardest elements in God of War is trying to figure out the puzzles that make you think a little, like using your Leviathan axe to free something and move to another object. And it's very cool how it can tie up to the gameplay and experience of how the characters react to what you're doing inside of the game.
Yes, sir. Good idea.
As we climb this wall, we experience this crazy beautiful view that looks truly incredible. Kratos goes to lift this hard rock and Atreus comes across a bridge to prove Kratos that the bridge is safe, but is it really? We come across being surrounded by draugrs, but there is a frozen, but they're actually not moving. But we clear this area out full of draugrs. As we clear the area, make sure to look out for loot and other things that could really help us along the way through our walkthrough. But we came across these weird symbols on this rock, but only Atreus can read them.
Read it.
Oh, this used to be a marketplace. The giants used to gather here to trade with the gods a long time ago. Wonder if Odin was ever here.
The next enemy we came across was called the Remnant, and this thing was very obnoxious and annoying because he holds like the staff and he has like some kind of teleportation ability, and it gets very annoying. Pretty much versus enemies, a variety of different enemies throughout the game, and this one's probably one of the most annoying ones. As the story progresses through the God of War 2018, this story between the relationship of Kratos and Atreus is very remarkable. We see the struggles of Kratos and the struggles of Atreus, and they did a very good job of explaining the story between these two. It feels like Atreus is kind of failing Kratos, but in a way, and he gets upset, and then Kratos literally cheers him up. You know, even gods are going to feel pain. It doesn't matter if you're immune or not. This game is full of emotions and it really locks you in to tear up a little bit, but it really ties in with Kratos and Atreus to really trust each other inside of the story, and it's very good. So we meet a new character trying to cross this bridge called Barak. Maybe call him a dwarf or a midget, whatever you like to call him. Basically, he was trying to cross this bridge with type, I don't know what kind of creature this thing is, but I'm guessing he's holding all of his stuff that he needs and for his camp, I guess. But Atreus approaches Brock and says, you know, you guys trying to get across this bridge? And he seems like he's seen something next to the trees, and Kratos kind of just sits there and lets him talk to Brock. And Atreus says to Kratos that throw your Leviathan axe through behind those trees, and that's what Kratos did. Brock wants to give Kratos the Leviathan axe a little tiny upgrade, but it seems like Kratos was on the edge of not trusting him, but he did it anyways.
I expect an improvement.
The boss fights in God of War are kind of disappointing in a way, but it doesn't change the fact that God of War is still a masterpiece. But the bosses are pretty copy and pasted from the beginning of the game, which are the trolls, but slightly changed to make it slightly different, but it's just the feeling of, oh, we've fought this guy before. So don't get me wrong, all the boss fights in God of War are pretty freaking badass, but otherwise it's basically the same thing, but it just slightly changes in a different way to make it look like it's actually not the same boss, but in reality it's literally the same boss but copy and pasted, which I freaking hate in video games, but it's very awesome. I get why they do this because it saves more development time, because if you're working on a character or developing a kind of boss, you don't want to sit there and just be making each one for each area. But it's kind of point of an open world game or a AAA title, kind of struggle on those ideas, try to work around bosses, the variety of bosses around the game. But you know, coming crossing a boss and you like go to this next area, it's like, oh, I can't wait for this. I want to see what next boss reverse. And you come across like, oh, just another troll that we fought in the beginning of the game, which is one of the first bosses, but this is slightly different. And it's like, it's kind of that letdown of you can't wait to see what boss reverse next, just to see that is the one already fought but a different color. And I'm pretty sure you guys came across across the same feeling of a video game that you recently played or have played. And I think that's one of the struggles that some games have, and this game also has that struggle. There comes to a point where Kratos slightly comes behind Atreus as well. Atreus gets ready to pretty much pull back his bow, and Atreus tells him to slightly take a deep breath and calm down and take that shot to take down whatever animal he's going to be taking down. And the relationship between them two of the success that Atreus has of killing animals with a bow and actually succeeding in that, I think Kratos as a father is seeing him succeed with that kind of passion is very awesome to see. And like I said, I know I keep saying this a lot, but I love seeing their relationship build up. It's almost kind of The Last of Us Part 2, which I wish they would have brought. I wish we saw Ellie and Joel pretty much build the relationship up a lot inside of the game, but I'm not gonna screw it. I'm gonna spoil that right now. If you guys have not played The Last of Us Part 2, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna spoil this right now. It's kind of like we didn't get to see Ellie and Joel pretty much build the relationship in Part 2 because of Joel dying inside the game, which it was just left with Ellie and pretty much the rest of the game. And the whole game was pretty much her getting paid back on the revenge of Joel. And why I say this for the God of War, I want to see Kratos and Atreus' relationship keep growing as this game develops, as Atreus goes through his own struggles of trying to be the best of what he wants to be. And Kratos already knows that, but he's currently not ready because he's a little kid. As Atreus just sprints off in the distance, running toward the animal that he pretty much shot down, Kratos notices that Atreus dropped his knife and Kratos picked up his knife, but followed into an animal, and we come across a character that we have not seen yet. It follows up Atreus helping Freya, trying to revive the animal that he shot a bow at, and the turtle has a massive tree growing out of its shell, and that extends hundreds of feet above the ground and consists of bright red leaves as well. Under its belly is Freya's home, and this looks incredible. The graphics, the atmosphere, the environment looks very, very good for this part, and it looks very awesome. As Kratos is already building a relationship with Freya already, Freya already knows that Kratos is a kind of god, and they're going to come looking for him, and it's a matter of time. Freya already knows that Atreus really doesn't know that his father is a god, but it only comes a matter of time of actually telling him. We pretty much grabbed ingredients around her house to pretty much create a potion to revive her friend, and Freya shows us a secret passage that leads under her house and out of the woods. We come across Brock's brother, which is these two are like the things where you can like craft things and stuff like that. And he gave us some upgrades for our Leviathan axe. We come across this mysterious black mist that's covered on the bridge that we're trying to cross, but Freya ends up showing up. The fact is Kratos can move a giant metal bridge while he is a god, but that defeats the purpose. Well, it kind of does, but never mind. So he's able to move a giant metal bridge that is completely massive. And this part was truly incredible how strong he really is. Freya kind of guides us through this massive temple that leads into a table that we can travel to any realm we want. We enter this most beautiful spot in the game that I've seen inside of God of War, but Freya only can come so far away from Midgard as, however, she is unable to follow us as the curse Odin placed on her quickly drags her back into Midgard, which is like the craziest part of the story. As we go on a boat once again, and we get to a weird spot where Atreus is actually hearing these weird voices inside of his head like he's hallucinating or going crazy. And now we enter the...
Look at that. That must be the Ring Temple.
As we progress through the story, we come across this stone agent. Basically, when it opens its chest to send a beam of ice your way, this leaves it vulnerable to throw from your Leviathan axe, hitting it with its chest open with a cause of a few pieces of stone to come off. Pick up these and throw it at the stone agent to render better damage. As we get overrun by dark elves, we have to eliminate as many as possible. Kratos tries to hold them off, but takes his Leviathan axe to cut the roots and makes the whole place fall apart as Kratos holds onto Atreus as they fall, which leads into them an incredible beam of light. But Kratos approaches it, but not what it seemed. Like he's hallucinating how Atreus thinks Kratos isn't trusting him, also looking back at his past life of having this strong energy to find Faye, which is his wife and the mother of Atreus, just to be pulled by Atreus. Atreus is getting a little aggressive against Kratos of him not caring, of being gone too long, kind of a little emotional between these two. It seems like their relationship is is just going up and down, positive and the negatives. I just feel like the relationship between Kratos and Atreus is just like the relationship. It just keeps going up. It goes very positive and just all of a sudden just negative. So you think that it's going very well as the impressions and how the gameplay goes. Then this happens. I feel like it's just a roller coaster. I just want nothing but positivity with this relationship between Kratos and Atreus, as this is a positive story and it really makes you wonder what's going to happen next. And it does a very good job of telling the story. God of War was actually doing a very good job of staying consistent of more variety of different bosses inside of the game until we got to another point where we went against another troll. It seems like every location we go to that it's like an ice biome or like a desert area or some kind of biome, whatever you're in, it really matches that troll of that whatever environment he's in. And that's what I meant by there's a lot of trolls in this game and copy and pasted bosses. They're basically the same thing, but they will have like a different powers, or they look familiar, or they just slightly look different from the other trolls that we fought at the beginning of the game. But the copy and pasted is the most obnoxious thing because you'll get a good boss. It's like, yes, that was such a good boss. But hey, what's the next boss gonna be? Oh, we don't know. Then we get another troll. It's like, oh wow, this is very underwhelming because I thought we were getting good with these bosses adding more variety to the gameplay, and then we just get another troll. Then your just feelings just go back and forth because you don't know what boss you're gonna get. You're gonna get the same troll boss as before, or you're gonna actually get a different boss throughout your gameplay, and it's just back and forth, just in your battling in your mind that you don't know what boss you're gonna get. So having variety of different bosses throughout the gameplay of God of War is key for me because I don't want to be versing the same boss over and over, and the confidence that you have moving forward from that, it's gonna be very low because you're expecting another troll boss, or if it's a different boss, you'd be more surprised. Troll after troll, and finally we get an awesome boss fight that looks like this guy, and like holy crap, I'm surprised he was able to fit on my entire screen because I even play on an ultra wide monitor and I make my ultra wide monitor look like a joke. I was kind of kidding, but yeah, this is what I meant by my expectations can be very on the lows and highs. You don't really expect what happens next. I'm expecting a troll fight, but no, I was wrong. I was going up against some sort of massive dragon. He has these lightning attacks, and the red crystals you have to pick up and throw it at the dragon. It will do massive damage. It's also like the small health bar at the bottom for the boss, other than it being a giant red bar that above your screen, which is obnoxious. Kind of wish there wasn't no health bar, but makes it kind of less nervous in certain ways. I kind of stare at the boss's health bar to see how many hits I have left for the boss to be eliminated. But the more I stare at it, I get closer. I get eliminating that boss. My heart and the anxiety kind of kicks in. But there's probably a way to just completely remove it from the settings. But that kind of defeats the purpose of it being there or not being there of game purposes. But basically, you watch for his attacks and you basically throw these red crystal at him, and basically it will stun him, bring him down, and basically you can just do shit ton of damage basically until he's pretty much dead. So you pretty much repeat the cycle until he's dead, and it's freaking awesome. We come across a talking tree, which we see the stranger we fought in the beginning of the game, and trying to get answers where Kratos is. This is kind of funny because we are working with Freya, and that is her son. As we approach the tree, it seems like every person we approach always mentions that how Atreus doesn't know that Kratos is a god. But now he's super strong, but Atreus talks to the tree trying to find answers. The goal is to spread Atreus' mother ashes on the highest peak in all realms. But the tree says he came to the wrong place. Then he knows how the last bridge that's leading to the highest peak, the giants locked up the bridge with a secret rune with the destroyed the others. Kratos cuts off to the tree head to bring him to our journey. Jormungandr, also known as the Midgard serpent or ward serpent, is a unfathomably large sea serpent or worm who dwells in the world sea, encircling the earth and biting his own tail. An example on Ouroboros as a result of surrounding Midgard, and it's referred to as the world serpent. But it seems like the tree is the only person that can talk to this kind of creature to give us answers, to lead us to the right direction. I don't know what it is, but between God of War and every other game I play, God of War has the best environment of gameplay inside of a game that I ever played. Like the puzzles you do inside of the game get you really thinking, opening like chests, getting loot, upgrading your armor, and then upgrading your Leviathan axe to make it stronger, and getting badass gear inside of the game. Also, this game has some most badass gear just by playing the game. And I'll show you guys right here, right now. The different skins you get inside of the game are the most fantastic work that they can do. I think it's really cool. And I think it's very awesome, the kind of gear you can get in this game, and it's very authentic and really suits yourself how you want to play it. A lot of different types of bosses and enemies, and you will get that variety through your gameplay experience of playing God of War. And I think they did a truly a good reboot with this game. It's very awesome. And as this game being released on PlayStation first, it was released over time on PC. This is what this gameplay was on originally on PC. Being a PS5 owner and actually owning this game on PC was really cool. And this game runs so smooth and buttery smooth on PC. It feels so good and great. And I would highly recommend playing this game on the PC because it's so good. And it's not like The Last of Us, how the remastered version of the game did very poorly on PC. None of the textures were there. The graphics were very glitchy. And it just, some of the games, PS4 games or PlayStation games will release on PC. They don't do very good on launch, and this is very buggy. And it's like, do they even test these games when they're released on PC? It's like, come on. It's kind of embarrassing, but in a way, it's cool. And this game is so much fun on PC. I love seeing the relationship between Freya and Atreus because it makes it more positive story. Freya realizes that the green arrows that Atreus has, Freya says those arrows are very dangerous and pretty much destroys them. And Freya offers her arrows to Atreus, which is kind of her. Kratos shows the head to Freya to hopefully revive him after chopping his head off from a tree. Freya, aka the Witch of the Woods, has magic to bring back the dead to life like she did with her animal. And this potion worked against Mimir, aka the tree.
Sorry.
When word gets out that Mimir is free, the wrath of Odin won't be far behind.
You are God.
Leader of the Vanir, once yes, but no longer.
You did not think it important to tell me.
Are you really going to lecture me about that?
We are leaving, boy.
But
Now.
You're welcome.
To the door.
So this is one of my favorite parts in God of War. Coming across icy area, we used the red crystal to break the ice, and behind the ice is another troll. Who could have guessed? An ice version of the troll, which is called Stonebeard King. This boss fight was pretty quickly, but didn't really last long at all. I'm against with having so many trolls to fights, but I gotta admit, this one was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. We throw another red crystal at the second ice, and what's behind it is another troll. Psych, there's not. It's a different boss. This one was pretty easy. I'm actually glad they did another enemy type with this and not just two trolls. That would have been funny, but adding variety is nice, like I said previously into this video. Magni and Modi was the next boss fight, which was summoned by Odin, and the fight that kept pestering over Atreus about his mother, which was not really funny at all. Soon enough, it comes to this guarding phase where you have to use your shield and block incoming attacks. This was also cool and it added another mechanic to the boss fight, and it felt natural and refreshing. But the ending to the fight, because it was kind of funny, killing the other dude, this dude gets scared of Kratos, did to that guy, and he pretty much ran off. After the fight, it leads into Atreus getting sick, which is not good for the story at all, and it got me kind of worried at this moment. Kratos finds a flaming burning crystal, which will be used to open the frozen doors that we couldn't open from the beginning of the game. This also would be good for New Game Plus, so you can pretty much go back to where these frozen doors were that you can open in the beginning, and then go back to those in New Game Plus and open those for extra loot. The guy that ran from Kratos basically sneaks above Kratos and Atreus and starts attacking Kratos with the lightning that leaving Kratos not being able to move. Atreus tries to attack but didn't seem to work. Atreus gets hit but tries to uses his ability while lightning is going through him and he hits the ground, while Kratos uses his ability to take Madi for him to run away once again, and Kratos quickly carries Atreus to Freya, and she's the only one who can help Atreus back to life. Freya is willing to help Kratos help Atreus to stay alive enough for Kratos to get what they need to help Atreus. Kratos and Freya are starting to build a good relationship, and this scene was kind of emotional. As Kratos goes back to his boat as it's decorated in flowers and travels back home, while everything turns red, a familiar statue stands upon him. At this moment of the game, he was realizing Atreus was actually going to survive. I just knew that there was only hope. As Kratos approaches his house and reveals his blade blades of chaos. At this moment, God of War felt back in a good way. Time to slay enemies and style. These dual chains swords felt like we were unstoppable, ready for what's to come for us and take out whoever stands in our path. Our journey must end to reach the peak to release the ashes we must fight. We got another troll fight with a surprise, but this one we're using the blades of chaos, which adds a different finisher on the boss, which is actually badass. Kratos returns to Freya to check in Atreus and he awakens. Kratos gives Atreus his knife back. This was a positive relationship between the two starting to rise again. Kratos is willing to trust Atreus with his weapon. This leads into the two boss fights of the same enemy. One is fire and one is ice, having the blades of chaos, making this so much more fun and more enjoyable and engaging. The boss variety in God of War was starting off good, so much of less trolls, going from the Leviathan axe to the blades of chaos. I don't even want to touch the Leviathan axe ever again. I made the blades of chaos become my identity. I might even marry them at this point because they're so good. As the end is near, we come across the stranger Freya's sons. As Freya and Kratos were building a good relationship to this point of the game. Kratos pretty much had to kill the stranger. He's been a threat since the beginning of the game, and he was trying to kill his own mother, which Kratos didn't allow that, which follows up of Freya being angry at Kratos. But this didn't stop Kratos and Atreus reaching the top of the peak to release Atreus' mother ashes to end the God of War story.
Your ball!